Hi everyone, my name's Jordan Horvath and I'll be interviewing Mel O'Meara today, the winner of the Australian Young Researcher of the Year award. How are you today, Mel?
Hi, Jordan. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, congratulations on winning the Australian Young Researcher of the Year award. What motivated you to apply for Young Researcher of the Year award, and tell us about the process you went through?
Yeah, good question. So I actually didn't nominate myself for the award. Part of the nomination process for the award was actually to have someone else nominate me. So I'm really fortunate at the moment. I work with a really great team and a really great leader at my organization. And so my leader was actually the person that nominated me. I had seen the award nominations were open for the award, and I'd kind of thought about it if I was being honest, but at that point in time, I was actually only 12 months into my career. And so I kind of thought, oh, maybe not yet. I'm not quite ready. Maybe I haven't achieved enough. And yeah, it was really nice when my leader actually reached out and went on the front foot and said, I'm nominating you for this. Uh, get on board. Let's write this nomination. She had to write a submission for me to demonstrate some of the work that I've done. And then I also had to write a bit of a bio for myself as well as part of kind of the first round of nominations. And then after we got through that first round process, they shortlisted about 10 finalists. And then following that shortlisting, I actually had to do a presentation to a panel of judges, which was pretty full on,
Yeah,
all via Zoom, which is always challenging, as I'm sure you know. Yeah, I had to do a presentation to a panel of judges where I had 5 minutes to kind of prove my worth and prove why I should win the award. So that was a really great experience going through that nomination and that judging process, and then obviously winning was a huge highlight of my short career so far as well.
amazing. It's always good to get that appreciation from your higher ups at work as well. So, no, good on you.
Yeah,
All right. So, how did you get into marketing research slash insights?
good question. I kind of fell into it, which is something that a lot of people in our industry say. And I'm sure if you meet more people in the industry, you'll find that a lot of people say, oh, I just stumbled upon it or I just kind of found it. I actually joined my organization that I'm at now, Great Southern Bank, on a generalist graduate program straight out of uni. And so that was a 2 year graduate program where I rotated around different areas of the business. And, thinking about how a bank works, I went from, human resources to operations to finance to all these different areas. And then kind of saw this team from a distance that were this research and insight space. I didn't really know who they were or what they did. When I started the organization, I didn't even know the team existed. And then about 18 months into my program, I found them. Uh, was meant to do a 3 month rotation and then never left, just fell in love with it. And yeah, kept extending rotations and doing all kinds of things to keep myself in the team and eventually landed a full time role.
Awesome. All right. What did you study at university?
I studied a double degree. So I did business with a management major, and then I also did psychology as well. And so in my psychology degree, focused on things like behavioral science, organizational psychology, developmental psychology, a whole host of different subjects in that space as well.
Amazing. All right. And tell me a little bit about what you do at the Great Southern Bank.
Yeah, so my role at Great Southern Bank, I work as a client side researcher, and so when we talk about research roles and insights roles, sometimes we talk about being a client side or an agency side researcher. And so when I say client side researcher, it just means that I work as a researcher within my organization. So instead of being an agency that kind of comes in, does some work, and leaves, I'm embedded in my organization full time. And so because the way I work as a client side researcher, my role is made up of a lot of different things. So, as a research and insight specialist, I am responsible for running a whole heap of ongoing research programs that we have at the bank. So, that can be things like a voice of customer program, which is actually a survey program that sends surveys out to customers every day. I also work on things like our brand tracking and our brand health metrics, and that tells us how we're actually performing as Great Southern Bank. So, do people know we exist, and if they know we exist, are they actually likely to take out a banking product with us? All of those kinds of things. And then I guess the other part of my job is kind of more ad hoc and strategic pieces. So as a large organization, and as an organization that's recently undergone a really big rebrand as well, we quite often have big strategic questions as a business that we want to know the answers to. And so, that could be anything ranging from what do people want in a mobile banking app to, what do our target market want? How's a millennial different to a baby boomer, and how does that feed into their banking relationship? So, kind of those big ad hoc questions, we run ad hoc research projects to help answer those questions for the business as well.
Amazing. All right. So what different facets of research are you involved in Great Southern Bank? Qualitative, customer experience, brand, etc., whatever.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, to be honest. I think my previous answer to the last question probably hinted at that. Part of being a client-side researcher means that I really do have to be quite a bit of a generalist in my approach to research. So I have research skills that span across a whole heap of different areas. So, I run quantitative research, I run qualitative research, I partner really closely with our customer experience teams to help them answer questions. I work with our brand and marketing teams to help them do things like optimize their marketing campaigns with research as well. So really a little bit of everything is probably the answer to that question. And
Sure,
a little bit of a little bit of project management and comms and all of those things thrown in on top as well, just to make sure that your research and insights really land with the people that you work with too.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Before you started in research, what were your perceptions of the industry, and how has that changed since you started?
Yeah, I think thinking about how I ended up in research and insights, I probably didn't really have much of a perception of the industry. I guess I didn't really know it existed before I landed in it. Looking back to myself at university though, and myself at high school, I always really loved learning about things like behavioral economics and, learning about concepts that actually link really closely to what I do in my role now. But maybe I just never had anyone say to me, oh, what you actually like is research and insights. You just haven't realized it yet. So I think I've always found this area really fascinating. I just didn't quite know what it was, or I didn't know how to find it yet.
Yeah, amazing. All right. And how have you applied what you learned in university, to your day-to-day life in your job?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways that I apply what I learned at university to what I do now. If I think about my business degree, and the way that my university structured my business degree was, we completed quite a wide range of core units in our business degree. So, I did a little bit of economics, a little bit of marketing, a bit of accounting, a bit of finance, kind of covered all of those bases. If I think about how I work now in a really large organization, I think that really strong grounding that I have in understanding a range of different business subjects and topics, it actually sets me up really well to be able to have conversations with different people in my organization. So, as a research and insight specialist, I work with so many different stakeholders every day, and every week and every month I'm meeting someone new in the business or expected to learn about a new area of the business so I can help them answer questions. And I feel like my business degree is a really strong grounding for me to be able to say, oh, I actually do know a little bit about that world, or yeah, I can sort of speak their language, and I can start a conversation with them to be able to understand more. I think my psychology degree, that's probably given me more of the kind of tangible skills that I need to be a researcher. So in my psychology degree, I did a lot of stats subjects, and I did kind of those subjects that have set me up to be able to actually do practical parts of my role as a research and insight specialist. And those kind of more technical things of, being able to analyze data and being able to talk to people about significance testing and all of those kind of really technical parts of the role.
Awesome. So could you also give me an example of how you've applied some of these insights that you've learned from your job to your day-to-day decision making that you make during working at Great Southern Bank? and like what has been the impact of that?
Yeah, definitely. When I was thinking about this question before we jumped on the call, I think there's so many different examples that I could talk about. But I think if I think about a really practical example of how have I taken insights and actually helped make impact or inform a decision at my organization, I actually really think about using insights to inform digital banking strategies. And so as part of my role, I manage our ongoing Voice of Customer program, as I mentioned earlier, and that's running our daily surveys that we send out to customers to actually gather feedback on different touch points or different experiences as part of our organization. And so two of the surveys that we send in that program actually relate specifically to our mobile banking and our online banking channels. And so if you think about yourself as a customer of any bank that you interact with and you're using a mobile banking app, if you received a survey off the back of that to say, hey, what do you think of our app? How'd we go? You know, those are the kind of surveys that we run off those interactions. Something that my organization has done in the last 18 months is really try to use that survey to inform decision making for our organization. And so, you know, taking those questions that we ask customers off the back of using an app or going on online banking and actually trying to understand really deeply what do customers actually want out of this experience. And so one of the things we do to actually gather that information is we've got a couple of questions in those surveys where we ask really purposeful questions around features. And so when you think about using your mobile banking app or using something like online banking, you know, there's a set of features that you can use within an app, and that might be the ability to like add a new payee in the app or transfer money or, you know, apply for a credit card or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so we actually really wanted to know, okay, in the future, like what's the next feature that we should implement? You know, there's hundreds of different features out there that you could add to a mobile banking app. And it's really hard to know, well, what should we do next? You could just pick one out of the blue, but then like it might not be the right one for customers, might not be the one they actually want. And so something that we did was actually start asking questions within our surveys that could help prompt those decisions. Mm-hmm. And so now we're at a point where we have some really strong data where we can actually go to the owners of those channels and say, hey, look, we're asking customers, what do they want to see next? Or what feature do they like the most? And it actually helps us go to those people with real numbers, real examples from customers and say, hey, we know you've got a backlog of 60 different features that you want to add to this app. Here's the 5 that these customers really want to see next. And I think the impact that we see off the back of being able to drive those decisions means that, you know, when those new features are added or when those changes are made, we actually see an immediate uplift in customers using them. And for me, that's like a light bulb moment. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Customers tell us what they want, we do it, it works. But being able to inform that with research and insights, I think is like such a strong decision-making process for an organization as well.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you've answered these questions amazingly. Thank you so much for your time, Mel. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you've already given me an insight of, you know, what it's going to be like in the real life after uni, and I'm sure you're helping the other students too. So thank you so very much.
No, awesome. All good, Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you.